Hello and welcome. I'm here with Chichi Maponya, who is the chairman of the Maponya Group and CEO of Africa Travel Retail.
Correct.
I'm delighted you can join us here today. Welcome, and thank you for coming to talk to us.
Thank you very much, Charlotte, for having me talk to you and our viewers.
Thank you. So my first question for you is, for those that aren't familiar with the Maponya Group, could you give us a bit of background information on the group and your role that you play?
Maponya Group is a family-owned business, well established in South Africa and well known, and established by my parents in the early 50s, 52, around 48, 52, you know. And my dad, when he started, he had wanted to have a clothing store. And but because he was black at the time, he was never allowed to have a license to have a clothing store. He was quite a dresser.
Very dapper.
Very dapper all the time. And but then he then got the license to go into retail, food retail, and later we expanded into the retail market. So we're well entrenched in the retail space and in the property development space as well in South Africa with the shopping centers and so and I think that has become our hallmark in the property industry.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then how does that connect with Africa Travel Retail?
The interest of expanding into travel retail, my father had a license to have the Harrods coffee shop and tea shop in South Africa at the airport. And I think it was in '94 that we bid to bring the Harrods tea shop, not coffee shop, the Harrods tea shop. And unfortunately, we were not successful at the time, and we parked the idea. But later, as we got into the shopping center business, and you kind of travel and walk around a terminal, and you feel like you're walking through a shopping mall. But of course, the traveler is a different shopper from the domestic market. So the interest again grew again, and we kind of like explored it further to see how can we now start building a business around the travel retail market.
Yeah, absolutely. We've heard for many years people talk about the potential of African travel retail markets. What's your view on obviously the potential of the region? I can imagine that you're very much for, and you can see obviously there's great potential there, but there's also this danger that we tend to talk about the continent, whole continent, and don't necessarily pay enough attention to the individual markets.
Yes.
Would you say that's probably accurate?
Yes and no. So and I'll respond by saying apparently there was a shoe company that sent 2 salespeople to Africa many years ago, and the first person went to Africa, came back and said, nobody wears shoes, so there's no market there. And the second one went and came back and gave the same report. Oh, nobody wears shoes, but oh my goodness, can you imagine how many shoes we can sell, So yes, those who say there isn't enough of a travel market in Africa, they would be missing the point. Africa is said now, with as we are hitting 8 billion people in the globe, Africa as a whole represents 1.4 billion people. But then you segment it further into various countries. South Africa with 61 to 65 million people, and the hub in terms of travel and business, both for tourism and business tourism.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And family visiting friends, and travel for visit of friends and family. And also being a regional hub, it's a great opportunity for any brand to be in South Africa. And then, of course, you look at other countries in the region which have different types of offering for tourists, for business. And it's really a time to look at Africa as a whole, but also selectively understand the different nuances of each and every country and what it has to offer.
Absolutely, and there's also that first to market appeal for many brands if they have the vision, the long-term vision.
Indeed.
I wanted to highlight something that you actually brought to our all of our attention at the TR Consumer Forum in Cyprus, and you stood up and you made some very valuable contributions, talking about how, you know, as travel retail stakeholders, we have a responsibility to represent the local offer.
Absolutely.
Which was very important. And there are other opinions that say, you know, but also we have to represent the brands, the global, iconic, well-known brands. And there is this balance that we have to strike. And I think you can probably appreciate both sides of the argument.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about what you said at the TR Consumer Forum for those that weren't there, and just to explain what the points that you were trying to make. Yeah.
You know, we talk of sustainability. We talk of inclusiveness, but in that we lack sincerity. And I think when you look at the sense of place or representation of local product, it should really not be seen as a tick box. If it's done with authenticity and the sincerity that each of the place has to offer, you will find that there are jewels and gems that can be unearthed without really adulterating their offering, you know, and really showing it in its true sense. And you find that people, that's what they're looking for now. They're really looking for authenticity. They're looking for sincerity.
Absolutely.
And you cannot talk of sustainability and leave the communities that you are operating in, and not really give them the platform that they deserve.
Absolutely.
So really, I think the look should be holistic and broader in that sense.
It's interesting you mentioned the communities being such a vital part of that, because I was speaking recently to the CEO of Dufry, who was making that exact point, and he says, you know, we're on a journey, we're not perfect, but you know, this is something that we're also trying to focus on. So lots of operators are having this similar conversations with their brand partners. But
it's good that we're able to do that, and I think coming out of COVID, hopefully a lot of reflection took place, and a new way of doing things. We have an opportunity now to do things differently. You know, as we re-establish and reposition, we really have an opportunity to bring forth, because now the traveler is also different. The traveler is more conscious, you know, and if you want to talk to that conscious traveler, you need to go to the root of some of these key elements.
That's hopefully we don't lose that moment of reflection going forward and dilute that, you know, as we move out of, hopefully, in you know, into recovery, the later phases of recovery. So.
Yes.
But it's been wonderful speaking with you today. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll definitely catch up soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for inviting me here.
Thank you.
Thank you.